Well, I did promise you the best Conservative cope, and oh boy, at the time of doing this, it's roughly about 11 o'clock on Saturday. So there is still more to come because I can guarantee you right now they are trying as best as they can to say, how can we spin this? How can we try and spin this? And already you are seeing some of the spin stories, some of the attempts at the copium to come out. So we are going to go over what I think is the first of these to come out. Obviously, written by one of my favorites over at Conservative Home, good old Will Atkinson, um, trying to say that, oh, well, this clearly is going to signal how difficult Labour is going to be when it has, in power. Oh boy. Bear in mind, this wasn't written today. This was actually written on the 3rd. So this clearly, when it was posted, when some of the results were done, this was clearly written and posted prior to a lot of these results coming in, when they were just getting the initial trickle, not what they have seen, shall we say, in the full light of day. You've got a lot of Tories being very, very quiet at the moment, certainly trying to hope that maybe they can keep Andy Street. Maybe they have done that. Like I say, I am doing this before the result will be announced, but we will know that probably in the fullness of time. The only glimmer of hope has been Ben Houchen, but as I will say this now, the swing from Labour in that seat was over 26%. If you repeat that at a general election, that essentially means that a lot of Tories will lose their seat at the next general election. So, you know, that's the reality of that vote. Even though Ben Houchen won, the swing is undeniable, and it does not spell good fortunes for the Tories. So let's go and have a look at how Will seemed to be coping on the night that all these elections rolled in. And don't worry, we will bring you, I can guarantee you, more Conservative cope. I mean, we could have really done Rishi Sunak's piece he wrote in I think it was the Telegraph, and maybe we will. Maybe we will. Like I say, I am going to gobble up all this copium that is going to be coming out probably over the next 24, 48 hours. And oh boy, is it going to flow? So before we do get into this, please do remember to click on the like, the share, and the subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to the Patreon page, the One Off Station link, the Buy Me a Coffee link, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, the Pony Club as well down below, the YouTube subscription. So as always, thank you very much to all the people who do help support the channel. And of course, let's crack on with this, shall we? Ooh. So this is from Conservative Home. With the title of Amongst Labour's Victories Are the Signs of the Difficulties They Will Face in Government. Will already preparing, I can see, for life in opposition. So, sometimes they do make it too easy. The news that one of the many, many Labour councillors so far elected is called Carl Peter Marks Wardrobe has been one of the rare sources of amusement from these local elections. Cue the various suggestions that Labour hasn't changed. Again, obviously, it's shortened to Karl Marx. I pointed this out. This, obviously, as you can tell, still written in the early hours when some of this stuff was filtering in, not really taken into, say, the full effect of the scale, the losses. I think that that Will had clearly seen, but he's already trying to preempt the scale of this victory by saying, well, don't worry, guys, because when they are in power, they're going to face all these difficulties. Anyway, even if Karl Marx isn't his real name, that one of obviously Stockport's newest representatives is a former Green, is a high sign of how Keir Starmer has now brought Labour in the last 4 years. He's purged the party's left and recruited a new army of Starmer troopers. Haha, May the 4th. Good joke there, Will. And convinced doubters he's on track for a substantial victory. Absolutely. I'll tell you what now, Starmer's strategy, I worried about it. All of us, I think, have worried about it at some point. I think the local elections have more than justified Starmer's strategy. So, hey, if it's working, don't fix it in many ways. So, but that is also actually a little nugget of very interesting information that Stockport Labour representative was a former Green. Very, very interesting that. maybe we should look into why he changed from Labour to Green at some point. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to look into that at some point. Um So, where are we? Yes, here we are. So, even amongst this record-breaking by-election swings, pilfered councils, and ejected Conservatives, there are a few underlying worries for Labour in the results so far. For one thing, Newcastle has just elected its first Conservative in 32 years, up the tune. Wow, you won one council seat in Newcastle. Well, this happened last time we had these local election results of local Conservatives coping about the fact that they had narrowly managed to hold on to like a single seat. They're like, we, we're winning here. We're winning here, guys. We managed to retain one seat. We're winning here, guys. We're winning. Cope harder, Will. Please do. I need more of it. Um, Nevertheless, I firmly do believe, he continues, that Labour will have a ghastly time in government. With no money to spend and the grim geopolitical inheritance, I like that. Why have we got no money? Well, why have we got no money? I thought you guys were meant to be the party of good, fiscal responsibility and earning power. But there you go. He continues, with a whopping mandate will not help Starmer quieten the backbenchers desperate to use the levers of powers to implement socialism in one term. No one thinks that. Honestly, anyone who thinks that can look at the Corbyn years trying to sort of implement this, go from not to socialist in 60 seconds, doesn't work that quickly, and that maybe boiling the frog is a far better strategy. We've seen a lot of things from the local Labour mayors, or relocalizing their national bus services. That's a really good, local transport initiative that a lot of people are very happy with, sort of voting for. So we'll see what happens, but I do think that this we are on course to get some really good progressive policies, and of course here we are, Conservatives still calling Starmer a socialist, and yet you've got other parts of the left saying Starmer's not a socialist, but you've got a Conservative like Will Atkinson saying no, Starmer's a socialist. But there you go. Anyway, moreover, while Starmer might hope of stripping his manifesto of anything that might upset Middle England, will keep from spooking those very apathetic or switching to the Tories, currently delivering him gains. It will also alienate him from the left of centre of voters. Jamie Driscoll is just a straw in the wind. Obviously, Jamie Driscoll lost last night with he only got 23% of the vote. Yep, he lost. Gee, I wonder why Jamie Driscoll wasn't chosen as a Labour candidate. But there you go. So where are we? So back to the Greens have more effectively now wooed the rural NIMBYs than converting voters en masse to Thunbergerism, but they are making steady progress and can serve as an outlier for lefties currently upset with Labour. They had their worst South Teesside result since 1978, losing to Independents and Greens. And shockingly, this is something that me and Will actually agree on. Greens are the biggest set of NIMBYs ever. We want to build council houses. Oh, we can't build there. Say the Greens. Honestly, a lot of problems in the Green Pies, and they are going to have problems with this when they start to do this. Oh, want to build more council houses in Bristol? Good luck. Because you're going to have a massive NIMBY MP by the looks of it, Bristol. And now you've got a council with more Greens that are going to stop a lot of this because they are incredibly NIMBY about this, of not in my backyard. If you've never heard that before, welcome Bristol to your new age. You've only got to look at Brighton for your potential future, or maybe even Sheffield, which I think is more the likely direction Bristol could go in. But that's maybe another video for another time. So that one was blamed on the poor bin collections and children's services, but Labour's loss of Oldham to no overall control via the election of 7 new independents has more of a Palestinian flavour. One of the outgoing councillors said that the Gaza issue is losing Labour seats with Muslim voters. Labour has already acknowledged that this morning, and we'll see what their reaction is. I cannot see Labour now really doing something about that. They will react to this in some way, shape, or form. I can guarantee you they will do something. What they're going to do, I don't know, but hey, they will do something. So the best performing candidate was a first-time councillor who won 2/3 of the vote after branding herself the voice of Palestine. According to John Curtis, Labour support is now down by 8 points from last year in wards where there was more than 10% of the population is Muslim. Labour's Gaza policy was a problem for Muslim voters and has been now the case since October 7th and has been seen as a gradual softening of the party's position on such issues as a prolonged ceasefire and arms sales. If a Labour government is forced to take a stand in the Middle East, history will repeat itself. So I think they will see a change in the Gaza situation. I really do think they will see a change. What it will be, I can't tell you. But other than maybe calling for boycotts, maybe sort of banning arms sales, maybe to sort of Israel. Maybe that I can't see them going as far as sanctions, but maybe they'll do something there. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but there will be, I think, a response along those lines. But we'll have to see what that is. So Britain's Muslim population is now much larger than the time of the Iraq War. Political backlash would be more significant and now more worrying for the Labour leadership, as the discontented of a left of centre voters hoping for more spending. How will Labour coalition cope with these trade-offs in power? That's what you have to do. Well, that's what you have to do. You have to do trade-offs when you are in power. That's just how politics works, unfortunately. But there you go. So, of course, the easiest way for a party to lose power is to do a bad job and be punished according to its record. For better or worse, that is why the great Tory gains of 2021 are now being turned into serious losses now. The conciliary to all that is, of course, good leadership, and this means re-election, aka paging Ben Houchen. Oh, my word, Will. You wouldn't use Ben Houchen as an example of good leadership. There are many, many issues Ben Houchen has failed on leadership in Teesside, public transport being one. We are seeing lots of Labour mayors localise their transport network, keeping sort of pledges of keeping like bus tickets at £2. You haven't seen Ben Houchen. Well, he was very reluctant. If he did follow it, I think he followed it very reluctant. I can't remember now off the top of my head. I'm sure someone will tell me. But he's been failing massively on local transport. The whole Teesside issue is a complete failureship of his own sort of re-election, of his own sort of leadership means. Yeah, the idea that Ben Houchen has been, quote, a good leader, absolutely not. He had lost momentum on it. He has lost vote. Yes, he did win, but his vote was drastically reduced down from where it was last time. You saw a bigger swing towards Labour. I can go on and on at this this ideal, but there you go. So, and of course, it is the very still unlikely event that Susan Hall now confounds the pollsters and beats Sadiq Khan, or at least runs very close. It will show you how easily an out of touch, tax raising, and virtue signaling orientated Labour administration can be defeated by a clear and popular Conservative message. Yeah, even then, what do you do when you're actually in power? Once you are in power, you've then got to actually deliver yourself. This is something even Keir Starmer and people in Labour have said. When they win, when they get in power, they've actually got to deliver. Overall, from what we have seen from the past 14 years, even by performance on local councils as well, Conservatives have failed to deliver on a whole range of these issues. And Sadiq Khan, meanwhile, has delivered. If you want to talk about him expanding ULEZ, why did he have to expand ULEZ? He was told to because of central government. He had no choice but to do that. He has repeated that time and time again. So unless Susan Hall is also going to ignore the central Tory government and also start expanding ULEZ, which bear in mind, if she wants more transport money, she absolutely would do. There you go. Also, how would Susan Hall then have to deal with the TfL, the Transport for London, and all the various unions in and around there? I don't think she would handle that very well at all. Sadiq Khan has far proven he can handle those negotiations far better than anyone else so far. But there you go. So, as the man who took us to those now stonking results in 2021 once put it, there are no disasters, only opportunities, and indeed opportunities for fresh disasters. In the government, Labour will find surmounting Britain problems no easier than we have. How soon until the Tories are now winning more Gosforths? It's the thing. Britain's problems. Most of these problems are caused by your party. Well, like by by your party is the result of many of these problems that Labour are now going to have to fix. And here's the thing. You could solve some of these problems now. You have an overwhelming majority. You could try and take a crack at trying to solve some of these problems. But so far, you've had over a year of Rishi Sunak, who has proclaimed he was going to right the boat and correct the system. What has he done in over a year? Nothing. With an overall majority. And that's not even talking about the stuff that Liz trusted in her very short period. The stuff that Boris Johnson completely failed at. All the challenges that he had to tackle didn't really solve either with an overwhelming majority. Going all the way back to the Cameron administration, when we were seeing those problems, did David Cameron and Osborne try and tackle any of those problems? Did they try and solve any of those problems? No, they didn't. There are so many problems you can actually talk about in the Tory party. But once again, you just have this blind allegiance and a loyalty that's just completely ignored all these problems because this is our ideology. We are going to follow this. If we do this, everything should be all sunshine and rainbows. And when it's not working, they're looking, going, huh, why are all these problems are happening? This shouldn't be the case. We should have solved all these problems. But oh well, there you go. Yeah. Expect more cope to come. Expect more cope to come. And oh boy, is it going to be delicious? Because that was written in the wee hours of Friday morning, by the looks of it, when that post was posted. We can only suspect what what are the opinions on what is going to flow forth in very soon. But oh boy, I can tell you, it ain't going to be good. But as always, we'll see you all next time and hopefully for some more delicious conservative cope. But until then, as always, click the like button, click the share button, and of course, leave a comment down below. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.